Hello friends and good evening. Oh my goodness. So, hi. I'm just too excited and I can't contain myself and I just have to do this vlog. I'm sure you, like me, like many of us, probably obsessed with the newest Critical Role campaign, Campaign 4, DM'd by the Brennan Lee Mulligan. I have been really enjoying Campaign 4. We are 5 episodes in, and it has just been a blast. Getting to know all these characters and the way that they're being portrayed. Oh my god, what an amazing cast. I have been a fan of Critical Role for a little while now, but god, is it intimidating. So I feel like now is the perfect time for Critical Role to get so many more new fans of like people who love D&D and have been interested in maybe trying Critical Role, but were intimidated by 100 episode seasons that were pretty old and all tied together with the first 3 seasons being in the same world. Now we're in a brand new world, baby, and it's Brennan Lee Mulligan, so it's like already adding so much more, and I'm so happy for them, and just like the way this is bringing so many people together. So anyway, the purpose of this video, I will be reading books based on the Critical Role characters. Now, let's be so for real right now. There is no book that will perfectly align with any character. So I've got a few recommendations that we might get to. I've also got picks for me, but there's no better way than a spinner wheel to decide. I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them. I don't know if this is going to have like 2 parts where I try to read all of them. We simply don't know, and we're just going to do our best to see how it goes and try. So I thought, of course, the best way to decide who I'm going to be reading books based off will be from my spinner wheel. I have all the character art as well as like the campaign art. Oh my god, it's so gorgeous. So I figured this evening we would pick our first one. I don't know how many I'm going to do in this vlog. I think I'm just going to try and do as many as I can until I run out. Some of these books are chunky, so we'll have to just wait and see. Our first one, oh my gosh, the one who kicks off the season. You're kidding me. Hal. Oh. This season has made me cry like so many times already. I'm on my second rewatch of the first 5 episodes today. Literally like as I was editing and like getting stuff ready, I was like, what if I just threw it on the background? Like I have to cut out a bunch of dead silence anyway and like get clips organized. So I've rewatched the first episode fully. Now I'm on episode 2. The funeral makes me cry so hard, but we have Hal. Hal is played by Liam O'Brien, an incredible actor, and the catalyst and character that really brings everybody together because of his brother's funeral. We start with heartache just right from the beginning, as you classically would. Hal is a orc bard who has children, kind of single parents, but like kind of also co-parenting, but is the primary parent in the situation. Obviously, we know that his brother was ripped away and very sad hanging for his crimes. And the other thing is like he works kind of with the theater crowd. So my recommendations for Hal's character when looking at the parent side of things, Kings of the Wild is literally the perfect book to represent middle-aged men going on the last hurrah to save one of the kiddos, like getting the band back together type of adventure style. It is the perfect book. I think a lot of the characters honestly could weave into this being a recommendation for them, but it just felt fitting for Hal, seeing as Liam had made a statement being like, I'm expecting heartache from harm to the children, because that's like his whole life. And the other big part we know about Hal, seeing as we haven't really gotten to know these characters beyond 5 episodes, and with that you're still spreading it between 13 people, so we don't really know everybody in full. But also being a bard, I could recommend Bloody Rose, which is the sequel to Kings of the Wild, as well as When the Moon Hatched, which is maybe a weird one to throw out there. I'll be honest. I hear you, I get that. But she does act like a bard, and there's a lot of godly relationships, so if you're missing gods from Brennan's world, then this might work out for you. But it is a D&D style of adventure. It's got a lot of made-up whimsical words that you won't always understand perfectly, and it definitely takes you for a ride, but at the same time you've got gods, and you've got these relationships with gods, and I just think that it's kind of fitting. I know a lot of people don't love it. It is romantasy, so like it's hit or miss, but you know, what can you do? What can you do? Those are my options. And seeing as I've read 3 of the 4, I will be reading finally Bloody Rose for his prompt. Now, the fun thing is like this is following kind of the bard character, so that's how it relates, but it's also following the child of the parents from the first book. And so, although that doesn't quite fit for Hal, seeing as Hal is the dad, but it's almost as if like Hero was going on an adventure. I'm so excited. Okay, so that'll be our first read for this vlog, and I'll check in with you guys when I get started on it. Hi, time traveling Sam here to break your immersion, because whilst getting ready to edit parts of this video and like get it started, it's classic, it's typical that I would lose the initial video of me talking about Bloody Rose and like the initial starts and my beginning feelings and the premise of the book. In my defense, was planning to get this video out sooner than I had, like a month sooner, but life and also this first book, Bloody Rose, I was halfway through, like literally 50% into when my audiobook was due January. So I was waiting forever to get this book back, and I'll give you my final thoughts a little bit later. But in this Bloody Rose, we are following kind of two characters. The main character that really jumps us into what's going on, our bard character, is Tam. And Tam, our gentle teenage little sapphic trying to find her way into this world, is obsessed with and fangirling over Bloody Rose and her adventuring party. And like, it's her dream to do such things. Her parents, her dad, her uncle's like, no freaking way can you do this. This is such a bad idea. It's so dangerous. It's not safe. Don't do it. But of course, circumstances must happen, and she joins the party as the bard. And she's very insecure. She's, I kid you not, a teenager. I think she's like between 17 and 19, like somewhere in that range. Like, she is a kid in comparison to some of these other characters that she is hanging out with and partying with and getting to know. And she's really like recounting their experiences together and going on quite the adventure. But then on the other hand, we have Bloody Rose, who is, if memory serves me correct, the daughter of one of the fathers in Kings of the Wild, which I mentioned in the recommendations portion for Hal, that both of these books are very fitting for his character, just because you've got the dad side of things, but you also got the bard side of things. But we are catching up with Bloody Rose. This is a prequel to Kings of the Wild, so this is like while she is trying to find her own acclimates and is really struggling with being in her father's shadow, because her father is also like this legend of mercenary adventuring party type character, and she just wants to be her own person. And so she's got that dilemma on her side, and then you've got Tam, who's trying to also find her way and like try to prove herself to everybody around her who doesn't quite believe in her. I think that both of these women are really interesting characters to follow, and I enjoyed them together. And I won't again get into too much. This is just initial thoughts that I don't have as much anymore because I have the hindsight of everything. But I really appreciated these characters and seeing like the adventure they go on, seeing as them kind of become a party, like Tam finding her way, Bloody Rose also in her own way finding a way. Yeah, I can't say too much because I don't want to like get into spoiler territory, seeing as like I have my end thoughts, but I will just, you know, blanket say that this is a very high fantasy D&D like adventure story. Like, it is traveling, it is fighting things, it is going to the tavern and drinking. Please stop. I knew my cat was gonna make that jump. I knew it was gonna hit my camera. Overall, think that this is very like D&D story. Like, it's very legally distinct from Wizards of the Coast property, like not using the same words entirely, but I do really appreciate that you can tell what it's going for and what it's trying to be. This one came out in 2018. Kings of the Wild came out, I think, a little bit before then. There's supposed to be a third book in this universe, and I haven't seen anything about it, so I'm nervous that we might not get one, but I would be excited to pick up another. It's one of those books where it's not great for cramming. You really want to take your time with it and like just let it sink in for a little while and not like speed through it. I also think that you need a little bit more brain capacity to read these, like just in the sense that it's high fantasy, so you want to kind of pay attention and you really want to get to know the characters and like them, because if you're distracted and not paying the full attention, you miss things and then it doesn't hit as hard. I'm not speaking from experience or anything, just based off like the time of my life I was listening to the audiobook, but like it's cool, it's fine. Anyways, to future Sam to tell you about her past Sam. I'm future Sam. Back to past Sam to tell you about her final thoughts of this book. My goodness. 1 second. You may or may not be able to notice that we're about to go on a walk. So we're gonna brave the cold. It is below freezing right now, which is not common for Oregon in February, because last time it was this cold in February was like 6 years ago and we had a snowstorm. So we're gonna go on a little walk, but I wanted to update you guys because I actually finished Bloody Rose yesterday at the office. And I feel high, which was kind of tricky because, as you probably know by now, I'm in tax season. I finished it at the office though yesterday, which is fine, but it's not like the best one sitting book. It's so long. So I definitely recommend like breaking it up, reading it over multiple days, not 2 days basically, because it was just like a lot, especially with my job right now. It's a lot of like stop and pause, like pause and go, pause and play, pause and play. It's a lot of pause and play, which is, again, normal for a lot of audiobooks. Like I listen to a lot of horror and romantasy, and it doesn't really feel as bogged down. But for like such a high fantasy, there was definitely moments where I was just like, oh, so many people, so much action. while also, like, nothing happening in the plot. I did like how it concluded. I liked the ending. I like the cast of characters a lot. I think that they're, like, your perfect... It is truly just, like, a perfect D&D campaign. But I also think it's one of those sticky, like, what makes a campaign a good book versus, like, a good campaign when you can see the acting, you can feel the characters. It just, I don't know. There's just something a little bit different about reading such a D&D campaign versus watching, listening, being a part of the campaign. But I will say that I think I preferred Kings of the Wild more than this one, which is following, like, the dads who are trying to save their daughter. And I really enjoyed that one because I liked the old men characters and how funny they were. Whereas this one had, like, a lot more heartwarming moments between just, like, youngsters and a band trying to do the best they can. And I liked it overall. So I think I'm landing at a 3.5 for it, which makes me feel like I need to bump Kings of the Wild up to, like, a 4. So I feel like on Goodreads, Kings of the Wild should be rated 4 stars, whereas this one should be rated 3, even though they're both, like, generally around the same rating. If I guess we're doing, like, quarter ratings, Kings of the Wild 3.75, and this one is a 3.25. No, it feels more than that. It feels like it's like a true 3.5. So that's my little review for Bloody Rose. Off to walk this dog in the cold. Wish me luck. Hi, so I'm about to go get some coffee. Couple things, housekeeping. So when we spun for Hal, I accidentally spun again while I was screen recording, but it's like editing magic, you didn't see that. So I actually spun for our next character right after that on accident, and I got Octus. I love him so much. He's one of probably my favorite characters. He has this beautiful little necromancy sort of thing, fox, pet. Oh my god, Pip, oh no. I love. Octus is our little goth baby. He is I think he's like university age, should be in school, kind of dropped out to go travel with another character, is kind of the outcast of his family, isn't quite fulfilling the dreams and destiny, isn't manifesting his magic as quickly as they would have liked. And I have a few book recommendations that I'll talk about a bit later for him, but the book that I'm reading, I'm now 50% into, and I was like, I have not updated at all. I'm technically 49%, but I was like, I have to finish it today because my hold is due in like 12 hours. I have 2 hours and 20 minutes left. So this is like the big goal for today, but I want to do a lot of reading. So if you see me in this getup in like 5 different videos, that's why. But The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. I am really struggling with this one. Like 30% in, I was like, what is going on? Like there was one part that I was like, this is really cool and unique because it connects to this other part, but I'm very confused. Let me read you the synopsis and then you'll be like, okay. An emperor's reign has lasted for decades. His mastery of bone shard magic powering the animal-like constructions that maintain law and order. Now his ruling is failing, and the revolution is sweeping across the Empire's many islands. Lynn is the Emperor's daughter, and spends her days trapped in the palace of locked doors and dark secrets. When her father refuses to recognize her as heir to the throne, she vows to prove her worth by mastering the forbidden art of bone shard magic. Yet such power carries a great cost, and when the revolution reaches the gates of the palace, Lynn must decide how far she's willing to go to claim her birthright and save her people. Now, that sounds cool. You're like, okay, we're following Lynn, and we're doing stuff. We're following so many people. We're at least following 3, kind of 4, but we only see 2 of them ever so slightly. We're kind of mainly going back and forth between Lynn and Jovis. I always want to say Jovis, but it's Jovis. So, like, those are our 2 main characters, but then we also have this girl whose name I can't even pretend to remember. It's like Ramani or something. And then Sand. Okay. Sand is somehow connected to Jovis, and that makes sense to me. Lynn, obviously being the Emperor's daughter, like, the synopsis is about her. You think she's, like, the main character. She's kind of boring. I kind of don't love her. Jovis is a little bit more interesting to me. And then we have, I'm gonna call her Ramani, who is dating this governor's daughter, so it's, like, a nice little sapphic relationship. You barely fucking see any of it, though. And Ramani is, like, pro-rebellion, but her girlfriend is, like, not, because governor and whatnot, and so there's, like, issues there in the relationship for sure. And it's, like, it's fine. I'm getting like 50% in, like I'm getting a little bit more settled, but it took me so long to get into this. I actually ended up picking up the ebook so that I could read along. So I would try to get more of it in my brain, and I'm just really struggling with it. But all of my friends have given it 4 stars. One person, Princess, was like, almost DNF this halfway through, but she gave it 3.75. I'm like, okay, so it must get better. It must have like a reason to have all these characters. It must be coming back around in some way, right? And so yeah, I'm kind of struggling, but I'm not like hating it either. Like now that I'm a little bit more settled, I kind of know who our characters are and what's going on and like what they're each working towards. I'm like, okay, but it's still not my favorite thing ever. I'm hoping that this last half will really come together for me and it'll all make sense and things will start clicking and I'll go, until that moment, I'm just kind of like meh about it, but you've got these animal companions, these constructs. It feels very like creating life where there isn't. One of the animals explained was like an eagle's head on an ape's body. So it's very interesting animal constructs. I'm liking that part. And that part reminds me of the fox that is made up of different fox parts. And so I felt like that was a good representation. A lot of people were talking about this book for necromancy and recommending it, so I was like, I definitely check it out. And I've heard good things about the series, and like people have enjoyed it and like it. It's got like a 3.98 on Goodreads, so like I'm clearly missing something, but I don't know what. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this so far. I will check in with you guys probably when I finish, to be honest. I don't think I'm gonna have a lot to say unless something crazy happens. So when I finish this, I will let you guys know. But for now, I'm gonna go get a coffee because we got sprints in like an hour and a half and I need to clean this office so bad. Like you see nice, beautiful bookshelves that are so clean and good. Everything behind the camera, bad, bad, bad. We're gonna clean. Octus Techonis, played by Alexander Ward, who I was introduced to this person through Good Morning something. It's Becca's like board game YouTube channel, and there was a Blood on the Clock Tower 2-part video, and he was one of the characters in that. And so that's kind of how I got introduced. So it's really fun seeing people that I've seen in like other parts of the internet like coming together. I'm not the biggest Critical Role head. I haven't seen every season or all the episodes or like the spin-off things. So I don't know how all these people totally like come together, but it is really fun when you see like, why are you eating my braids now? Go away. But it is really fun seeing people that I've seen elsewhere on the internet like pop in. His class for Octus is Arcanist, but initially it was a wizard necromancer. He's like a goth kid that's not very close to his family, like I had mentioned earlier, and like big thing about him that really stands out is like necromancy, rebellion, especially like with your family, that he has a pet fox. So I have like different sections for recommendations so that they kind of make sense, you know? So I was thinking for like the necromancy books that I would recommend, which I wish that I'd grabbed, but now there's a cat on my lap, so it's too late for that. But Gideon the Ninth I think is a really good one. This is always pitched as like lesbian necromancers in space. So I feel like it'll have the necromancy vibe, as well as if you want something a little bit more cozy, I always get the Bookshops and Bone Dust. I can never get that title correct. By Travis Baldree. It's the like prequel to Legends and Lattes, but there is a necromancer villain. So if you're wanting something cozy but still having some stakes and just like necromancy touches, that might work for you. But I also have the Bone Witch, which I haven't read, and I'm very interested. I bought the whole series in a special edition. Still haven't read it. Quite embarrassing. So that was like almost a pick for this if I did not pick up the Bone Shard Daughter instead. But the Bone Shard Daughter, because the Bone Shard Daughter had necromancy and the animal companions because of the constructs, so I felt like that was a better match. And having read most of the Bone Shard Daughter, I would say that Lynn's character does have a lot of similarities to Octus, not fully, of course, but I do think that it fits the vibe enough because there is a rebellion happening against her family, and that like she has these like animal constructs that she can use as spies and stuff. So I do feel like it fits the bill pretty well. But the other necromancy recommendation I have is Bowen Smith. This is the first book in a duology. I read it. I did not give it the love and care and attention I think it needed. I think I needed to physically read that one rather than just listen to the audiobook. So I'm gonna revisit it eventually, but it is all about necromancy. Like that is the big part of this book is necromancy. I actually have it also on my shelves and I didn't grab it. I'm doing bad right now. As for the gothic vibe, I feel like you could read just about any like gothic book and it would count, but recently I read Anathema and I just feel like I have to keep screaming about it. I loved it so much and I'm so excited to read it again, give a plot recap, do all the fun things. I really enjoyed it though. It just has like the perfect gothic atmosphere, and just like the characters are just so dark and grim at the same time. But there's still so much like hope and joy with it that I really like that. I feel like obviously One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, come on. It's like the gothic duology that we all love. And it's just so good. It's got tarot magic, which is like a fun little flavor that's not related to Critical Role whatsoever, but I just really like that about it. I love the gothic atmosphere. Again, it's so strong in that book. And then the final gothic rec I have for you, which could truly be limitless, but I have What Moves the Dead. It's a novella by T. Kingfisher. It's horror. It's a retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. So if you ever read that or are curious, it has mushroom horror, spore horror. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a creative and different look on Edgar Allan Poe's work, and like just a way to expand it, and I just really thought it was well done. And it's just gothic and horror and so spooky and so good. So I felt like that was a good recommendation, but I'm really happy with picking up The Bone Shard Daughter. Unfortunately, it hasn't been my favorite read. It's just been kind of like so I'm excited to finish it. I know that I told you guys in my like last update for it that I was like halfway. Now I'm like 75%, and it's gotten kind of better. I can see a lot of it coming together now, which is nice, but I'm still kind of like about it, you know? But I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Howdy ho. My bookshelves look so sad right now. Usually when I sit here to like film, it's for unboxings, and so there's usually like a purpose for them being so empty, but I have room to grow, which is nice. So I'm trying not to fill them too fast, but I also, it's like that end of year feel of like, what if, hear me out, what if I reorganize all of my shelves again? So that might be happening soon as well. Anywho, I'm here to update our final thoughts on The Bone Shard Daughter, and I think I'm just landing at a 3. I don't think I disliked it, but I felt pretty checked out by the end because I didn't really care what happened. I don't know if I'm going to continue in the series. It's a very low priority, but maybe if it fits like a readathon prompt in the future, then maybe I'll pick it up. But it didn't really entice me like I'd hoped. But it's not like against the book. It just didn't work for me as much as I'd hoped because it was a bit more bigger scope of a fantasy than I was expecting. I don't know. The synopsis gives just like one little perspective away. There's so much more and so many more characters that I just wasn't quite prepared for that to be my experience. But it wasn't like terrible. I don't think the writing was anything special. I did like that we had 3 narrators that like spaced out, and so that felt distinct for each character. So I didn't feel like I was too lost or confused. Severo really would like to go to bed. So we're going to make this a quick one. Those are kind of my final thoughts. Nothing crazy. I didn't love the ending. You kind of get a reveal about Lynn, which I enjoyed. But then like after that, everything else was like kind of expected. Yes, it was. And at that point I was like, eh. So I wasn't like wowed with the ending as much as I'd hoped to be. But I thought it was fine. I can understand why people would like this. It was released in 2020. So it got nominated for the Goodreads Choice Awards, which you know is relevant to right now because we're in that era of time. I'm in that time. You're seeing this probably much after this time, so it doesn't really matter. But people have really liked it. Definitely more of a me issue. But who knows? Maybe I'll pick up the second book and I'll be like, way better. Who knows? It's late. I've been working nonstop all day, cleaning, working, doing so much. So Severo and I are off to bed. Okay, so we got Azun, which is quite interesting. I don't have as many recommendations for his character just because we haven't seen a lot of him so far. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll learn a little bit more about him because I'm 2 episodes behind right now. No spoilers, obviously, for anything Critical Role related, but I need to catch up a little bit. So maybe he'll be a little bit more prominent in the next 2 episodes, and I can maybe get a couple more additional recommendations before we dive in too deep. I don't know what my pick is for him off the top of my head, so I guess we'll have to wait and see until I check in with you because I start the book. So, this was unhelpful for you, just helpful for me. Bye! Hi, new hair. When I had started the series, started this video, I didn't plan for this to happen. My mom kind of was just like, you have an idea? Let's do it, and scheduled my appointment immediately so that I couldn't chicken out. So I have new hair now and I do love it. I actually love it a lot. Makes me very happy. I feel very confident. It's fun. Anyway, I'm here because I would love to recommend you my Azun picks as well as what I'm reading and what I'm going to be starting. very soon. I'm nervous about it, but it also works for so many characters. So like, yes, it's Azune, but it's also like anybody. And I'm also going to say that my recommendations are kind of lacking for Azune, and I'm hoping as the season goes on and I get to know the characters even more, I can add more recommendations to my list. If you're curious, I have a page-bound list for each of the tables. There's 3 tables in total. Would it have made sense if I had organized this video to be based off the tables rather than a spinner wheel? Maybe. Who knows? Too late now. Anyways, I have lists for each of the tables, so I'm hoping as the series goes on and I get to know more of the characters in the world, I can expand upon my recommendations. But as of this moment, 7 recommendations, which isn't bad. So the first part of Azune, which I heard when like a pre-campaign interview where the cast was talking about their characters and like how they would pitch them basically. Lewis had said like that Azune was like a behavior analysis, but he didn't use those words, he used different words, but I interpret it as like he analyzes? He takes an analysis of different people's behavior because he's like this soldier. And I think that his backstory would be a lot more interesting and I can't wait to hear more about it. But basically like he was a part of this war and was like teamed up with a lot of the people, and now he's like on like the enemy territory side where like he's a soldier for the people that like we don't super trust. So I'm so interested to get to know more. Anyways, for the aspect of like analyzing behavior, I have picked The Naturals, which is a young adult, so tentatively pick it up if you want, but it's basically teenage criminal minds. Lots of mystery, lots of fun, but also like super genius kids, like prodigies. Very fun series though. And then I also picked Stalking Jack the Ripper. Not so much because of the mystery or because of anything going on in the book, but specifically Thomas really was giving me Azune vibes. And I can't really explain it more than that, but it was giving vibes. And I was like, yeah, this is like Azune. And the other option that I have for this is The Tainted Cup, a very popular series. Everyone is eating this one up. It's not my personal favorite, but so many people are enjoying it. The Tainted Cup is a Sherlock Holmes, Watson type of fantasy. The fantasy elements with like mushrooms that can purify the air. It's honestly really cool magic system and very interesting characters. You've got like the Watson character who we're following, and he's dyslexic but also can like remember everything and uses like smells to bring him back to that moment, which I think is very cool. And then we have the Sherlock character who's this woman who puts on a blindfold so that she can like analyze things going on to like a deeper, she's like mastermind Sherlock Holmes type of vibe. So those are my 3 like behavior analysis recommendations. And then I have Because He's a Paladin. And I've chosen to read for this video Paladin's Grace. This is by T. Kingfisher. This is so popular. We're following a paladin who has like this oath, but their god died, which is like huge for this world because there's no gods in this campaign 4 universe. But I also think that this could work for Vaelis because, you know, her god is dead. And I think it could also work for Teor or Julian because they're both bodyguard type characters. So I feel like this book really exudes a lot of campaign 4 character vibes, which is fun. So I'm really excited to see how I like it. T. Kingfisher and I have a very rocky relationship. I've liked some things a lot and I've really detested some other things. So I'm interested to see where I land on this one. I don't typically like T. Kingfisher's humor and I'm not a big fan of cozy books. So like this one's a bit of a gamble, but I'm looking forward to it because it's so hyped. I do think Sword Heart sounds a little bit more appealing to me, but that doesn't fit the prompt. So we're reading Paladin's Grace. And then my last 3 are a little bit more of a stretch because they're specifically focused on like the military soldier aspect. And the first one that I thought of was more so book 2, but Air Awakens. I know, I'm obsessed, what can I say? By Elise Kova. The second book, Fire Falling, is so military, like in the forefront, like you're on the march to a potential war type of situation. Like you're seeing a lot of the war aspects, and I loved it so much. It's so good. But you have to read the first book so you can get to it. But I do think that it really has military vibes. And I'm not saying that Azune is necessarily a militant, but I feel like soldier, especially in like medieval fantasy eras, it feels the same. But then I also feel like I have to shout out Blood and Steel because I'm obsessed with the Legend of Thesmar series. This is by Helen Shore. So fantastic. It is about a woman, Thea, who has always dreamed of being a war sword. And women are not allowed to pick up swords because of this prophecy that's like, they're gonna ruin the world. And she's like, bet. And so she becomes a war sword. And there's a romance. It is a romantasy series. So it's got a good focus on training montages and like not quite war heavy, but it gets war heavy as the series goes on. It gets more plot focused. But I just love the series so much that I had to shout it out. And then the final book, I haven't actually read. It was a contender, but I just don't know if it fits super well for Azune yet. But it's The Poppy Wars, which by R.F. Kuang, super popular series. I did not pick like obscure things for this character. I went with the popular things. But I do feel like The Poppy Wars is a military school. Makes sense to me. I am also wondering though if the Poppy War could work for maybe other characters. I don't know. I don't feel like anyone else would really have been in a military school except for Azune and maybe Taeor. So, the Poppy War. But I didn't want to pick it for this because it didn't feel quite like a strong recommendation for Azune, so here we are. Those are my recommendations. Those are my picks for Azune. I will be starting Paladin's Grace here shortly. It is a 13-hour audiobook, so at my listening speed, it'll take me 5 to 6 hours probably. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I like this. I would really like to enjoy this book like everybody else and maybe continue in the series later this year. Who knows? That's my information on Azune. Thank you so much. I'm bad at ending clips. Goodbye. Hey girl, hey. I just finished filming my wrap up and I figured whilst I was sat here, I would chit chat with you about my thoughts and opinions because I did it again. I listened to the whole audiobook while I was at the office, which means I didn't have a 50% initial thoughts or update. Sorry. Ah! What can you do? What can a girl do sometimes? Sometimes you just need to binge an audiobook. Fight me. I read and finished all of Paladin's Grace. And, you know, me and T. Kingfisher, we're complex. We're an interesting topic discussion when we're in the same room together because in some ways I enjoy their work and in other ways I don't. And I don't know where I land with this one. In this, we are following Stephen, a Paladin whose god recently died, similar to the world of Campaign 4. We have no gods. The gods have died. And instead of all of the gods dying, it's just this one god has died. And that's like new. That hasn't really happened before. And all of these paladins are like, what do we do? Like, what? And Stephen is a berserker paladin, so he kind of goes a little bit crazy sometimes, and like that's something that he's dealing with throughout the whole book of like, don't freak out, don't lose it, which is fun, I guess. And then on the other side we have Grace. Paladin's Grace. Get it? Haha. Grace is a fugitive who kind of falls into Stephen's path, his life, and they form a friendship which leads to a deeper connection. And like I said, Grace is a fugitive. She is wanted by many and eventually maybe sort of kind of gets got. I don't know how much of the synopsis really like explains the plot. The plot of this book was nowhere what I thought it would be, but I also didn't know really what this was going to be. So I guess kudos to me for not getting a little bit more spoiled. But at the same time, I certainly wasn't expecting what we got. Not in a bad way, but just different than I was expecting. Two perspectives. We've got Stephen and we have Grace, but the narration is just by the man. And so Stephen's narrator is also Grace's narrator. And I have a flaw of tuning men out at times. So that's my problem with audiobooks every once in a while, but mainly because this book is told in third person, which isn't a bad thing. And I think some books really need it, but because it's told in third person and we have a male narrator for Grace's parts, I very much felt like I was just being read a story. I never felt like I was into the world or into the story. I never felt like it was real enough. It just very much felt like somebody telling me a story, like reading a bedtime story, if you will, which is fine and okay, but it wasn't my favorite experience. I wonder if I had just read the book physically, if I would have enjoyed it a little bit more, but I really don't have strong opinions towards this one. I know a lot of people love this series. I'm not opposed to continuing on, but I don't think they're gonna really hit above a 3-star. I think I might skip out on the remaining 3 books in the series and just read Swordheart, and then, as I say every year, try to call it quits with T. Kingfisher, just because her books never fit for me. Like, they just don't work the way that I want them to. I don't really care so much about the quirky humor in them. I don't think this one was so bad. I just never felt strongly connected to the characters or story. I thought it was an interesting premise, and I was more interested in the latter half, but when I'm not like so deeply invested into the first half, it makes caring for the second half a little bit harder, you know? So yeah, overall, I feel very just meh towards this book, and I think that's also just how it is with me and T. Kingfisher. I know I keep trying, and I will probably keep trying, because everyone loves her works so much that like I too want to be in the special Cool Kids Club. I want to like what everyone else is liking so we can talk about it and enjoy things together. But unfortunately, I just don't think T. Kingfisher fantasy is my thing. And cosmic horror isn't my thing. But because I enjoyed What Moves the Dead so much, I'm like, there's gotta be something. There's gotta be hope out there that more things will work for me. And so far, I'm not finding that to be the case, but I keep trying anyway. Disappointing for me too, I know. I wanted to like her so much, but it's fine. Let's spin for our final character for this video. Oh, this is so exciting. Okay, so we have Vaelis, who I adore, love and adore. We'll talk more about her later when I have the capacity, but Vaelis is played by Ashley Johnson, one of my favorite of the Critical Role actors. I just think, oh, she does it so good. She's so interesting. I think she just makes really good character choices and it's just so funny. Vaelis is a, how do you say, nun? She's kind of like a nun for a dead god. And I love that. I love it so much. She kind of comes out of the woodworks, like literally floats through the mist, just like has access to the city and is just like so ethereal in so many ways, but also like so tough, so strong, so good. Love her character so much. Maybe one of my favorite, just based off like first impressions when we see everybody and like the way that they're introduced at the funeral. One of my favorite introductions. But Vaelis is a nun-like character, like I said, for a dead god, which is so freaking cool. I love that concept so much. I don't have a lot of book recommendations specifically for Vaelis. I know off the top of my head, the book that I'm going to be reading, there's a bookmark in it. The book that I'm going to be reading off the top of my head is going to be The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillick. I cannot believe that I waited so long to finally pick up this book. I was going to read it back in 25 when it came out, and then I kind of just kept putting it off. And then this video concept came to me of like reading the characters. And while I was doing research to figure out what books to recommend for each character, this one had to have come up because we're following Sybil, who is a nun-like character who like wears this little thing to be blind and is like a fortune teller. Unrelated to Vaelis, but gets partnered up with a knight. I don't know his name. Doesn't matter. But they kind of get paired up and they're on the rescue mission to find Sybil's like other fellow members of the religion, the other diviners. But because Vaelis is part of the Seeker's Table, she kind of gives the energy of having like religious visions, maybe something like that will come as the series, as like Critical Role's campaign goes on. But just like with the religion aspect of this, it just felt really suiting. This is like more on the gothic side. And apparently there's like a gargoyle character that everybody loves, and I'm really excited to meet him. So this will be the book that I read. I'm probably going to start it tonight, which is really exciting. And then we've got not a whole lot of other recommendations. I would love more for this character specifically because it's just so up my alley. But for the nun aspect, I have to recommend Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, I believe, author of the Raven Enchantment as well as the Sorcery of Thorns. I remember all of these things. I read both of them. It's just an author that I enjoy, but Vespertine is following a nun character, which I don't feel like we see too often, especially if it's like a little bit dark and gritty. But her role is like cleansing the death and making sure that their like spirits won't come back to life and like rise above and like come back to haunt or whatever. And I just think that's a really cool premise. I don't know a lot about Vaelis's character based like beyond the initial portions because we've been spending so much time at the Soldier's Table, but I'm really excited to learn more about Vaelis and see more of her. She's just such a badass character. I love her so much. The other recommendations for like the nun like aspect to Vaelis's character I have is Gideon the Ninth, which is lesbian necromancers in space. I don't know if it's like the most perfect recommendation for this character. I feel like it could fit for a couple different characters, to be honest. Like Octus could even take Gideon the Ninth, but it did feel fitting and I wanted to like beef up more recommendations for this character, so that's what I decided. And the final one that I have is The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water by Zen Cho, I want to say. I have very little memories. I read this book. It's pretty short. I read it like 4 years ago, so it's been a hot minute since I looked at this book. But in that very long title of a book, a young nun joins like a group of thieves, and they go on an adventure whilst trying to protect a sacred object. I kept messing that up so many times. And Vaelis, if you're unfamiliar, is introduced because she is trying to reclaim an item that was stolen by Hal's dead brother, and is very much like, gimme, 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 that belongs to me and my god. I would like it back. And they're like, we don't have it. And then, you know, we're all like now on the hunt for this item. But I think that's also really cool. So those are my very few recommendations, unfortunately, for Vaelis. I would truly love more, just like the aesthetics of her character and everything. Everything about it is so good, so good. I'm going to get started on this because I would like to finish, obviously, before this video goes up. So that's a big plan. But I just am so excited for this book. I have such strong 5-star predictions for it. If I don't love it the way everybody else does, I'm going to be completely devastated because the way people have made their personalities, the fan art for it is absolutely gorgeous. Like some of the best fan art I've ever seen for a book, and everybody's loving it. Everybody's loving it, and I don't want to be the odd one out. I want to also love this, but I also don't want to hype it up too much. I really don't know a lot about it, but I think it's going to also be a duology. I really liked Rachel Gillig's first duology, so I just have high hopes in general. But finally, it's time. Okay, hello. I have made progress in The Night and the Moth, and I needed to update you before I forgot. I'm like 20% in, and so I wanted to chit-chat with you guys now, because I'm going to kind of just sit on the couch for the rest of the evening and finish this, which is so exciting. But let's start with what this book is about. The Night and the Moth is about Sybil, and she is known as one of the diviners, also known as Six. There are 6 ladies that are considered diviners, which are like nuns in a way. Like, you're very secluded. I wouldn't say that they're the most pious of people, but they believe in the gods and the omens, and they use their divination abilities to basically repeatedly drown themselves so that they can see the different omens and whether they're good or bad for each person. So that is kind of the premise of what the diviners are up to. And then we have young King Benedict Castor III, who is our newest boy prince, or I guess boy king. Oof. He is on an adventure type quest thing with his horde of knights. And so they are all traveling to the diviners so that they can get a reading, I guess you could call it. They can be divined upon so that they can know, like, if he's favored by the gods. And it didn't go super duper well, but for some reason they're all on pretty decent terms. And we also meet one of the many knights. There's Maud. She's like 10-20 years the king's senior. And then there's also Roderick, our sweet special boy. This boy here that wears a lot of eyeliner, quite cool. I like Maud maybe a little bit more than Roderick, but the banter is there, which is fun. But anywho, Roderick is kind of a bad boy. He's not like the other knights. And he also is very close with Ben. He calls him Benji, Benedict, and Maud. They're like a little trio within the knights, and he's like very close guard station. But he also had a few interactions with Sybil that didn't go quite so good, and so you've got some early banter between the two, which is fun. But basically, they had stolen some of the sacred spring water that the diviners used to like drown and see the visions, and in exchange for not telling the king's secret of having the spring water, Six kind of blackmails them into a little escapade to the fair, not too far away. And so the diviners are hitting the town in about, 56, 46, 49? A number of days. They will be kicked out of the abbey and basically will have to go find something to do in the real world. They'll have to like leave. Their time as nuns will be over. Again, they're not very pious, so it's like not really nuns, but it's still nun adjacent. So I will continue counting it. But basically, they will be leaving soon, and Roderick had made a comment about how Sybil doesn't know anything about life, and she's like, let's change that. Let's go for a little joyride. So they're off to the fair, and I'm really excited about that. I love a fair scene. I like getting to know all these characters. I know from the premise, like I remember reading in the synopsis forever ago that her sisters go missing, I'm pretty sure. And so her and Roderick have to like go on a quest together to find them. I'm pretty sure is the premise. I could be wrong, but my pet peeve of this book so far, page like 55, I went on a whole tirade to myself on my little lonesome of why on earth Rachel Gillig thought that it needed to be said, and I quote, full stop. Why? There's no point in using like modern slang. Like I understand that full stop is a period in the UK and like British world, as if it's like, you know, so not British world, but in British English countries, they'll say full stop instead of period because period is time length to them, whereas for us, it is just a dot that we put at the end of a sentence. I don't know how long. It's probably been like 5 something plus maybe years. I don't really keep up with like when new slang begins, but a lot of people now say full stop in their conversations when basically they don't want to hear any like complaints or don't want to like hear negotiations or whatever. I understand the context of using full stop, but if you're giving me the gothic atmosphere of my dreams using modern slang like full stop, even if, yes, technically the word was invented in like the early 9th century or whatever, like I understand historically, context wise, it's fine, but it feels redundant in this point because they're not using it in like the correct way in this setting. It just feels like modern slang slipping into the book, and that really bothers me because anywho, that part annoyed me. That part made me a little bit irritated because why didn't need to be there? It didn't need to be there. That's why, because she could have just ended it with a period or like said no negotiations, and it would have had the same exact context but would not have disrupted my reading flow. Anywho, that was my big complaint that I wanted to update you guys on, and then also just like chat with you what this book is about. The prologue, which is just one little page of Aisling's Cathedral, which is where the diviners are living. You know the story, Bartholomew, though you do not remember it. I'll tell you it as best I can and promise to be honest in my tale bearing. If I'm not, it's hardly my fault. To tell a story is in some part to tell a lie, isn't it? The whole page is just gorgeous. Like, I absolutely think that it was a stunning way to open the book. Definitely having that feeling like somebody telling us a story. We also have a lot of talking gargoyles, one of them who loves to call everybody Bartholomew, which I adore. So yeah, I'm having a good time with it. I am liking it a lot. Again, the atmosphere is impeccable, like the imagery of like the stained glass windows, the flower petals but they're moth wings instead, gorgeous. I'm very interested in like maybe learning a little bit more of the lore when it comes to the gods and the items that they're holding, the coin, the inkwell, the loomstone, the ore, and the something else, the chime. Hey, look at me, I do pay attention to my reading. So yeah, I am liking it so far. I think it's really hitting I do think it's really hitting the atmosphere, which I appreciate, and I like the feel of the book a lot. I think Rachel Gillick just kind of nails that to begin with. But anywho, that's my little introduction to me starting this book finally. I'm hoping to get it read for the rest of the day. I've got it's probably been like an hour or two, probably closer to an hour of reading this, so I've got like 4 hours left. But I'm enjoying it, which is nice. It is still a 5-star prediction, but we really haven't, like, I'm 20% into the book, and we haven't really gotten to a big catalyst for anything yet. I do think we're approaching it, though. I think within the next 30-ish pages, like, it's gonna happen, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm enjoying my read so far. So that's my little introduction. It is feeling very much a Vaelis book, just with the imagery, the gothicness of it, the dark tones, very like gray and black, but also like purples, like the rose of the windows, and gorgeous. So yes, I'm enjoying my read. It's definitely giving me like some Vaelis vibes. I really, really, really need more books that give the vibes of Vaelis, of like religion and nuns and smoke and dark gothic mysteries and nightingales. I'm so into it. Anyway, I'm gonna go so I can finish this book, and I will stop yapping. I'll check in with you guys probably when I get about 50%, unless I have like a lot to say. I am just writing notes currently as I'm reading, so I will check in with you guys a little bit later when I know more of what's going on and when I have updates. Okay. I have officially made it to the 50% mark. Woo! I was gonna grab a book, but I think doing so might be more of a hassle for me. But what I was going to say, starting on chapter 15, I just really love the way that Sybil hates wearing shoes so much. Like, she absolutely refuses to put her boots on in the cart, and it reminds me a lot of the main character in The Crown of Oaths and Curses by J. Bree. First book, phenomenal. I know I talk about it all the time, but that book truly lives rent-free in my head, like is one of my favorite enemies to lovers romantasy, and pains me every time I think about it because I love the first one so much. And it's not that the second one was like the worst thing ever, but it definitely had choices that were made that I just don't agree with that really irk me. Anywho, that's not why we're here. I'm 50% into this book and I am liking it. I don't have those strong 5-star feels, unfortunately. I can definitely see that it's like very clearly the same author who wrote One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, because it's a almost similar like plot setup where we have magical items or artifacts that have like these insane amounts of power and magic, but those are the only magical things in the world. There's not really a whole lot else. And whoever is in the royal family is always trying to get a hold of these objects, whether it be for power, whether it be to change the politics, something of the sort. But it's the same for both series, which I think is an interesting similarity, commonality that these two series from the same author have. But yeah, I'm liking it. The book is like split up in parts, so each of the omens / gods / items are their own portion of the book. So that's like how the parts are split up. We are basically on the third part right now. The first one was coin, second one inkwell. Now we're on the oar, which I think it means like a rowing oar, not like oar. I do think those are spelled different now that I'm saying it out loud. So never mind. Don't worry about me. Ignore me. Anywho, we're on to the next task. Sybil has like officially joined the king and Rory and Maud, and they're officially like working on other things as well as trying to find the diviners. I have a couple theories floating around on like what all of it could mean. The diviners are either, I'm definitely excited for the second book because we already know like what we're shaping up for, like what the end all be all fight is going to be or something. So like I'm kind of intrigued by that. I also really like the fighting system that this book has, where like yes, there is in the sense proper fighting because like things die, but I like the challenge aspect where you have to challenge to one of the three like things that they're good at, whether it be questions, whether it be fighting, whatever somebody's good at, but like they have a thing, like a trait, a quality, a hobby, a skill that they're good at, and then you challenge them at that, and then that's kind of like their duel system, and I think that's kind of interesting and fun. It's definitely more interesting than just like 10 paces fire, so I'm enjoying that aspect. I'm intrigued to see what more is to come, especially because we've heard about some of the other omens and like what's going on with them, so I'm like, what's waiting for us in the forest? I'm very intrigued by the magic system, intrigued by the world. I still want more, it seems, and I love the gargoyle. He's definitely our comedic relief, but I kind of want more gothic atmosphere. I feel like we got it so strongly when we were at the cathedral, and now that we're like on the quest on the road, it's kind of dwindled a little bit, like the scenic of it all. But overall, it's still an enjoyable read. I'm still having a good time with it. So I think I'm gonna move this party into the bed and work on finishing the book. I want to say that I have probably 3 hours or less, so it's gonna take me till like 11 p.m. and I work tomorrow, so I think I'm just gonna sleep when I finish and then just get this video up when I can. So it's probably gonna be late, but what can you do? I'm trying to be kind of chill about the pressure of consistent uploading during tax season because I don't need to add more stress onto my day-to-day, and I'm just trying to like have fun and enjoy my hobbies and enjoy reading and using my reading vlogs as like getting back into reading consistently and like building up that habit again more so right now. So it's kind of my short-term goal of the next couple months is just ease into posting and do what I can and work on increasing my reading vlog quality and just enjoyment so that I don't not read for like multiple days, because I really get stuck in the habit of like watching YouTube and not reading, and I would like to spend more time reading because I actually enjoy it. Crazy. Who would have thought a girl who makes a booktube channel enjoys reading? Anywho, that might be it for me this evening. We'll have to wait and see if I have more thoughts or anything, if I let you visit my bed or not. But I will check in with you guys when I have thoughts, when I finish, when I know what I have to say, when I have things to say, what's going on. Oh my goodness, we made it to the end of this video. I want to try and keep this relatively short because I know this is a very long reading vlog, but I will reward you with our next character spin for the next reading vlog next week if you make it to the end. So look forward to seeing who will be next. Anywho, I did finish The Night and the Moth literally like the night that you saw my shocked face reaction. It's such an interesting book because I like the first 50%. I thought it was fun. It was great getting to know the characters. It was definitely a slower build up. And then you get to like that 50% mark and you really take off. Like we are off to find omens, and we are getting to know the characters. We are accepted into the found family. I love it so much. I adore Bartholomew. I'm sure that's not a hot take. I'm sure everybody does, but I really enjoyed the direction that the book headed. I'm really excited to see where we're going to go in the sequel. It seems like we're going to be following our leads together in the next book, whereas with One Dark Window, we added a different couple's perspective into the story. So there was like a double couple narration. A double couple, I don't think we're gonna get that for this. I think, if anything, we'll probably get dual perspectives because, like all romantasy books, our couple is separated at the moment and need to find a way to get back to each other, which it's classic, it's not a spoiler, but I am excited to see how that will devolve and like how we go on that journey together. But anyway, it's one of those books where Rachel, she lays the breadcrumbs so well. Like, you know that the twists are coming and you know what to expect in a way, but yet the way that it's handled isn't what you expected and it hurts. Oh my god, I adored the way that this ended, even though I also hated it. It was just like one of those things where like, yes, that is the only way to end this book, but also like, how dare you? I really enjoyed everything about this. I would say that the first 50% I wasn't getting that 5-star feel, but by the second half of the book, I was so interested because there was more romance. I was really interested in like finding these omens and what that was going to mean and what it was going to look like. I was super interested in that. I love a meddling god trope in a book, so any tidbits of little gods, I will take it. I thought that the reveals were interesting. I will have to, as you probably already saw, but I made a prediction and I was correct. So a lot of the things, like, it's a predictable book and yet it happens in a way that like it still shocks you a little bit. Like, you don't fully know what to expect. Even if you expect like the big parts, you don't get the small bits in between, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I really enjoyed this overall. I ended up giving it 5 stars because that second half really did it for me. I was so emotional. For some reason, I cried 3 times during this book, and it wasn't because it was like a sad story, but something about like the tenderness of their relationship really worked for me, really did it for me, and just like hurt me at the same time. So yeah, I was a little bit emotional while reading this, but I had a really good time. I really loved it. It's definitely a book that I recommend. I understand why it's on everyone's favorites, but I'm not surprised either. It's like an easy win because Rachel Gillig just is that author. She's just doing the dang thing. This was her pandemic book, and I think she freaking nailed it. So I'm really excited to see how this duology will conclude. I'm so excited to see like what world she's gonna craft next. I think I already mentioned in my last review, but like, she very clearly has a style. Like, she likes a more scavenger hunt of a story where like you're looking for the magical artifacts, but I really enjoy those journeys. I really like those stories. So if she keeps writing them, I will keep reading them. I adore this. I don't think I loved it quite like new all-time favorite book ever. I think my order would be One Dark Window, The Night and the Moth, and then Two Twisted Crowns. So I'm excited to see where the knave and the something will come up. God, she says knave so many times in this book, and I don't know what that is. I think that's a naval capital. I don't know. I need to look that up, so don't mind me. But anywho, I'm excited. I hope that Fairy Loot will also do a special edition for the second book, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't love the original covers, and I know that's controversial because people love them, but anywho, that's it for me on my review. I love this book. I highly recommend it. Everybody is accurate and correct about it. It's good. Okay, I just updated the list because the way that it's saved, it didn't save correctly with my erasures, so I will save it properly this time. But let's spin for next week's character to start us off. Ooh! So next week, when you see me, we will be reading more Critical Role character inspired books. We will be starting our reading time with Cadigan, and I will tell you all about Cadigan as well as the book that I've chosen and some recommendations for that book. So if you enjoyed this video, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, let's do the blue, butterfly for The Night and the Moth towards the end here. Thank you so much if you made it to the end. I really hope that you like this like a little mini series. We're going to do all of the characters. So there's going to be 3 vlogs in total. This one today, Thursday, hello. And then the next one will be next Thursday, and then Thursday after that, and then we'll be done with this little collection. But I love a little spinner wheel moment. I also love Critical Role, so I'm excited to catch up. I'm excited to share this video with you, and I'm excited to see what more we have in store. So thank you for making it this far into a rather long reading vlog. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video soon. Bye!